Welcome to Heart and Hustle.
Nope.
Hustle and Heart.
Yep. Hustle and heart set us apart.
Welcome to Hustle and Heart podcast. I am Leslie Jorgensen, and
I'm Dana Robinson.
welcome back again.
Yes, I'm so glad to be back. Had such a good time last time.
Right. So we are here today. Our podcast is mostly going to be about like second chapters. The next step in life. We are seasoned ladies of Full Circle. I would say we're a little bit on we're the the next step kind of thing. So I thought it would be fun to get together and talk about life after the little itty bitty children. You've got some grandchildren. Just those kinds of things. So I thought we would get together and kind of talk about what happens in that second chapter of life. Um, Everything from career to socially to rekindling with your husband. I mean, there's a lot to the second chapter, and for me, I was not prepared for it. So hopefully, we can try to help, give some info out there and prepare people for what the second chapter is actually like. So.
And how amazing the second chapter is.
I don't want to make it sound like it's horrible. It's
also,
not.
Also, thank you for saying seasoned and not old.
That's
I like
right.
that.
Yeah.
However, I don't mind being called old. I've got great experiences in my life. I earned it.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Yep. I think of, like my dad, I'm old rather than, I earned being old.
Yes.
And every day that I'm here, I value being old.
A gift.
Yeah, it's
right.
a gift. Right. Exactly. I wanted to start off a little bit with talking a little bit about maybe a little bit of our first chapter to kind of give everybody some direction of why this is important to us. I don't know if everybody knows. I've mentioned it a few times, but my first chapter, this real estate world is new to me. I was in healthcare prior to that. I married my high school sweetheart. I was 14 and 16 when we met, and we were 24 and 26 when we got married. So, and all I ever wanted to do when I was younger was be a mom. That's all I can remember. Everybody says growing up they remember wanting to be a doctor or a lawyer and all those things. And all I have on my papers is I want to be a mom. So I became a mom, and we were newlyweds, and then we had a baby. Like, actually, no, I'll rewind that. We had a baby, and then we became newlyweds. We did things a little backwards, but it all worked out. So, not to say it's there's a certain way to go. We did it a little bit differently, but I will say that you kind of lose yourself when you become a mom. All your energy goes to being a mom. I mean, would you say
For them?
For them, yeah. You have how many kids?
I have 3 daughters.
Okay.
I do have a son waiting for me in heaven, but
That's
I have
right.
3 daughters.
Yep.
So for me, just like you, I couldn't think of anything else other than being a mom.
Right.
Except for, it's so funny to say this, I wanted to be a waitress so bad. Like, I would just think about it, like, as a kid, like, and a singer. Those were my 2 aspirations.
Nice.
A singer and a waitress. A singer came a little later, like in my teenage years, but as a little kid, I wanted to be a waitress so bad. Like, it was really, I thought about it a lot. It's weird. I don't know.
That's fun.
Maybe it goes to I like serving people.
Right.
Maybe
and you like to cook.
I do. I love to cook.
That industry serves you
Sure.
well. So yeah, no, I can understand that.
So for me, I became a mom to Chelsea when I was 20.
Okay.
And I was single, a single mom. And then I met my husband when she was when she was 2, I think.
Okay.
And then we got married, had a couple more kids. Well, let me rewind just like you did. Had another kid, got married, then had the third.
Right. Okay.
So we've been together since 94.
All right.
And then now we have 5 grandchildren.
Nice. Beautiful.
I love being a mom, but if I could have been a grandma first, that would have been the way to go. Like, yeah. So just over the years, I really focused on being a mom, and I had jobs here and there. I worked for attorneys for about 10 years in the bankruptcy industry, which I absolutely loved. And then I got into mission work. and
Okay.
did a lot of work through my church, and went to Haiti, and then created my own nonprofit organization for that. So we've done a lot of mission work for Haiti, but because of the violence that's there, and also when COVID happened, we weren't able to go.
All
So that
right.
kind of got put on
Right.
the back burner, and now we're not allowed to go. The U.S. government has a do not travel advisory. So I haven't been able to work on that, which I'm hoping someday to get back into that because it really is a passion of
Right.
mine. But so once that kind of stopped, I was trying to think of just something to do for myself. Like my kids were, I think Megan must have been 17,
Mm-hmm.
16, 17. So she's pretty much grown
Grown.
almost,
Right.
and
Right.
almost done with school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, what can I do? So one of my best friends that we've been friends for 30 years or close to it is an agent. But I never really connected that with her. And
Mm-hmm.
then my friend Ashley, who was on the podcast last time with me,
Right.
she invited me to come to one of her meetings at her office.
Okay.
So I went, and I really liked what I heard at that office as far as this is your business.
Right.
You do it at your pace. You get what you put into it.
Right. That's what drew me to
So,
it as well. Yeah.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
I could still be there for my family.
Right.
Um, I could still be a mom. I could still be a wife. I could still be a grandma. Like I could still do all those things and have something to call my own.
Right.
Earn my own money.
Right.
Like so it was just wonderful to have that and to
Mm-hmm.
be in a place where I don't have to worry about who's going to watch the kids.
Right.
What kind of daycare options or so it does have its perks in that way in the second chapter, even though I'm starting this whole new career from scratch in my 50s.
Right.
Um, that was scary.
Right.
And also in this new technology age, I'm still wanting the old paper phone book.
Yeah. I carry a binder with me all the time, and it's
Yes.
full of papers, and they just look at me
Yes.
and think, "Why do you have all
I
that stuff?
know.
I might need one of these."
Right,
We
right.
did something here a couple weeks ago, and I had my bag with me, and those guys were asking, "Do you have we need this, we need that." I'm like, "Oh, wait,
I
I
got
have
you.
that. I have
Right.
that. I have that. I come prepared for
Yes.
everything." But yeah, I like all the papers, and yeah, I still like to print it out and have
Yep.
actually a physical signature and this online stuff. It kind of, but whatever. Learning, learning,
Yes.
learning. So
I
yes.
think Heather, um, Gail or Spencer, and
Hmm.
you and I are the only ones that bring paper.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody else has their phone, their computers, whatever, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah. No, I think Riley one time, or maybe it was HKZ, I can't remember. One of them had their iPad, and I thought, oh, that's brilliant. I'll bring my
Yes.
iPad with my pen, and I'll write. And it just didn't feel the same. So
Yeah,
I didn't
it
do it.
doesn't feel the same.
We're off on a tangent.
No, that's
Anyways,
okay. Yeah, that's okay.
that's part of it too. Um, so yes, we got to a point where we were moms, and I'll say for myself, I was very hands-on with my kids.
Hmm.
My son did a sport that involved our family, and it involved us traveling. He did motocross, and we were diligent in it. When I say we were diligent, we traveled all over the place. Most of our time was spent from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in a motorhome, traveling all over the place to dirt bike tracks, and we'd spend the night there. I was fortunate to have my parents come with us, so we spent a lot of time with my parents, and my husband and me and my kids. And so, you know, every bit of non-working time was put back into that, and I made some
Hmm.
amazing friends. I would say my motocross family, they became. I was closer with them than I was real family. I have a small family. I am an only child. My husband is from a bigger family, but they're a lot older than him. He's the baby, and so our motocross family became our family. We spent all the time with them that we could, and you know when that went away, and my son got older, and my daughter grew older, and we stopped going to motocross track. He stopped. He had a major crash, and we decided that was done. Lots of major crashes.
Hmm.
I should say that he had lots of major crashes, but one was he broke a femur, and it was bad, bad, bad. So we decided we were done, and so all that family went away. And I remember at the time he was 16 or 17, and we stopped going, and our weekends were open again. And I'm just like, I kind of got a taste of, oh, what are we going to do now? Because then he became driver's license. He started taking off, and like, he had a girlfriend, and now that's his wife, and they were gone, and it was just me and him time, me and my husband time again. And our friends now that we had prior to motocross, they had all moved on. They'd all been doing their own things now.
Right.
They've made new
Right.
friends. Everybody's grown. And so we kind of left our motocross family and kind of didn't have any other family and then didn't have any other friends. It was just us again.
And what are you going to talk about? Like, what is there to talk about now that the kids are done? Like, it's difficult.
It was difficult
Yeah,
because
it
you're not the
is.
same person you were when you
Right.
were single and
Yes.
just getting together. You're not the same person as you
Right.
were at 18, 19 years old when you could have conversations
Yep.
then. You were doing the same things,
Right.
So, yeah, kids
That's
grew and
difficult.
we kind of just had to say, wow, we have to get to know each other again.
Yep.
And my son got married, and, he moved on. And my daughter was creeping into high school, and I don't know. I think I've shared with everybody, but it hit me really, really hard. I struggled. I had a couple of struggle years, and yeah, I'm not ashamed to say I did have a suicide attempt, and it was a bad time in my life. It was
Yeah.
a very depressing time. I didn't know where my footing was. Who am I? You know what I mean? I'm not a mom no more. Well, I'm a mom, but
As needed.
I'm not as needed. Yeah. So who
Yeah.
needs me?
Right.
and I don't know who I am, and I don't have any friends, and what am I gonna do? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, So I was fortunate. God blessed me with more days on this earth.
And I'm so grateful for
Thank
that.
you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
But I knew at that moment that I had to start living for myself a little bit more. And I had to find myself again. So it was a lot of mental health, some healing,
Mm-hmm.
still stumbling, but it's a work in
Oh,
progress.
for
So
sure. So let me ask you this: when you decided to say, "Okay, I'm going to have to start doing for myself," like
mhm,
I need something for Leslie
mhm,
and not mom and
mhm,
not wife.
yep,
That came with guilt.
very much.
Yes, because I feel the same. I still feel it today.
Mhm,
Like when I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't watch the kids, or I can't do this for you because I have this real estate thing, whatever it may be, and then I'm like, should I cancel? And like,
yeah,
it's real.
yeah,
Like even as much as we want this for us,
right.
I still feel that tug, that pull to come back to motherhood, to come back to wife, to come back to everybody else.
Yeah, because it doesn't go
No, it
away.
doesn't go away. It's
it
something you really
it
just have
changes, but it
to,
doesn't go
right.
away. Yeah.
You really have to, I don't want to use the word fight through it, but
Mhm,
you really do because those feelings are real.
mhm,
And we gave so many years, and that's who we were.
right,
So it
right.
really is just, it's a learning process for us to have to learn how to be Leslie and Dana again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's real.
And it involves. So on the other half of that, I'm learning how to prioritize myself a little bit and how I'm important as well in the things I want, my dreams, my aspirations, my goals are important as well. It was really hard for my family.
Yeah.
And I promised myself I would be as open and honest throughout this podcast as possible because I want people to realize that, on social media, they see us showing houses and, look how
Yep.
glamorous
Right.
our life is and we've got it really good, and but we're real people
Sure.
and behind those doors being opened and those contracts being signed, there's real I promised myself I wouldn't swear either. Real crap going
Yes.
on.
Yeah. Before you hit record,
Yes.
they don't know what happens before that you hit
Right,
record.
exactly. And
Yes.
how many takes it took,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so yeah, when I started prioritizing myself, there was a little bit of a struggle, with me and my husband a little
Mhm.
bit with my kids a little bit. And we had to work through that.
Yeah.
We had to work through that. I'm important too. And I don't want to say that they didn't feel like I was important. It was just, what are you doing? You're not going to take care of this? What do you mean? Wait, you're not going to do
Well, they
that?
have to learn too. They're
Yeah.
going through that change with us.
Right, right.
And it's our decision to make that change. It's kind of like we're forcing them to jump on board.
Right.
And they love us and they do, but
Right.
it's still it's hard for them too. Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I was selfish because I literally my dad passed away and I literally gave my notice at the hospital that I was not coming back. And 2 weeks later, I went from steady, 9 to 5 or 9 to 7, whatever
Yeah.
my schedule was, to, hey, I'm going to be a real estate agent. I'm going to make this work. And, having to have them trust that I'm going to still be there and
Yeah.
where's the money going to come from and how are you going to be home and you're going to go
Right.
meet strangers on homes? What are you talking about? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So I did just throw that on them and literally they had no idea I was even thinking about it. I still remember this day telling my husband I quit my job and I'm going to take a real estate license class and he was like he was fixing I think their laundry room had a leak or something like that. And I remember just telling him, and I'm like, I signed up for a real estate class. It's $350 and I quit my job and I'm going to make this work. And he was just like, huh? What are you talking? What? Wait, 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 wait. And I'm like, nope, I got it. I'm starting my class tonight. So,
What a leap of faith that is to you went from getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. I'm
yeah,
assuming you got paid every 2 weeks.
yeah, yeah.
To then I may not have a paycheck for months at a
Yeah, I
time.
didn't think anything. I really didn't.
Yeah, but it was something you knew you wanted to do for yourself
Yeah,
and for your own mental health, number one, and so that you could become who you wanted to be,
right.
not who everybody else labeled you to be.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it was one of those things like I think I'm glad I did it the way I did because I had no other choices.
Yeah.
Like I see some of these agents, and they've got, a very smart lady yesterday at a conference I was at said they have 1 foot in the door with real estate and they have 1 foot out of the door. Um, is the backup plan because they
Oh,
can't
gotcha.
really commit to being
Sure.
in this full time. They've got that other job that they have to take care of. So for me, and this is not going to work for everybody, but I know for me, if I would have stayed working in healthcare and still tried to do this part time, I wouldn't have pursued this as hard as
Right.
I would have
Agreed.
because what was easy, natural, and what I knew would have been much easier to stick with. So I'm happy that I took that leap. I still look back at it and think, what in the world were you thinking? But
Right.
I think I had a plan. I just didn't know it. And once I trusted, I went with it and it worked out. So,
Right. I think for both of us, though, in that situation, we were both fortunate. Our husbands worked.
yeah,
They had great jobs
I am very
that
fortunate with
we
that.
were able to do this. Some
Right.
of these other, I'll just say women, like
Mm-hmm.
even in our own office, or
Right.
they don't have that luxury.
No.
Like they do have to take care of their
Yeah.
family. So I get the hesitation with the 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah. And like I
Yeah.
said, I just know that for my situation, I would have gone back to what's comfortable.
Yeah.
That's where I always usually go to is what's comfortable, not usually what's not comfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming back to second chapters, having to learn how to be almost like girlfriend and boyfriend again.
Yeah.
It was hard, let's
Yes.
go on dates and I love my husband with all of my heart, but setting up dates is not his forte. Like,
Oh, does he know Russ?
yeah,
Because that sounds.
yeah,
Did they go to the same school? I don't know.
right,
No.
yeah, the same romance school,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
So yeah, it would be like, okay, we're gonna go and do something this weekend. Well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? I don't want to plan it. I know
Right.
that. I don't
Right.
want to think about it. I just
Yeah.
want to show up. And,
Yeah.
I've always been the planner. That goes back to
Mhm.
what has always been, my job. I'm
Yep.
the one that, he provided, a good living for us to be able to go and do that. I did as well. But I mean, he was the steady income and I planned it and, supplemented and made it happen. So, so now, plan something and it'd be like, I don't know what to plan, So
Yeah.
that was a struggle, and I took it very, very personal that he didn't know me enough to know what I wanted to do. What do you mean? We've been together for 20 some years.
Right.
We've been together 35 now, 36. You don't know what I want to do, and so we had to go through some marriage counseling. I suggest that for anybody
Oh,
who
100%.
is struggling. There's no shame in going and getting a third party person to look in at your relationship and call you out on some
Yes.
shit, on some crap. But yeah, no, it was very important, and I got called out as well. I thought I was going to go to these counseling sessions, and they're going to tell you how you
Same.
got to do. You
Yep.
is
Same with
bad.
Russ and I. I'm like, wait till she tells
You
you.
exactly. We had a man, yeah, and I'm like,
Yep.
you wait until he tells you, and then all of a sudden he was like, well, Leslie, you did this, and I'm like, what are you talking about, Josh? What are you talking
Right.
about? You don't know what you're talking about. I'm right here. You're supposed to be siding with me, and he
Right.
didn't always. He did it most of the time.
Which is great.
But
That's great because for the two of us, the two of you,
Mhm.
it shows perspective, and it's not your perspective or his perspective.
right.
So that's important. And even if you're not really struggling in your marriage, I think it's still a good idea to have that maintenance, I guess you'll
Oh,
call it,
yeah.
before you have to fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like it's the prophylactic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You fix things before it becomes a bigger issue,
Yeah.
or you feel that tension.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always good to get somebody else's perspective as far as how to fix things, but also steps and just get an unbiased opinion of
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing wrong and why that person is the way they are. It was very good because I just assumed a lot of things,
Yeah.
and that counselor really opened my eyes up to things that I needed to be more cognizant of my husband, and things, the ways he was trying and things he was doing that I probably was taking it, for granted. So that was good. So I totally recommend anybody if you are struggling, or like she said, if you're, just a maintenance visit.
Yeah.
Get a third party opinion. So are your kids? Do they live at home
Nope.
or
So all of them live outside the house.
yes?
No. But I see them multiple days a week.
Right.
So Chelsea, my oldest, she just lives a couple miles away.
Mm-hmm.
She has 3 kids, and I watch the 2 youngest on Fridays because their daycare's closed.
Okay.
So I watch the 2 younger girls on Friday, and then my middle daughter Maddie, she lives in Clio, and we live in Flushing, so that's not that far. And I watch her 2 girls on Fridays as well because her daycare's closed.
Okay.
So, and then Megan lives in Burton, and she's the youngest. So I don't see her as much, obviously, because she's got her, she's young and wants to just do her thing, which is fine. Go do it. Do it
Right.
now.
Right. No, exactly.
Before, you settle down and all that. So,
right. Yep.
So yep, we have the 3 girls, and I see them a lot. So I still have the empty nest, but I get to still have that relationship with them, and
Right.
I help raise their kids, and so that's wonderful.
Nice.
And I do feel like it's funny because um, even though this might not be right, but I feel like I get a second chance with my grandchildren.
Oh, absolutely. No, I've heard multiple people tell me
Yeah.
that before. Yeah.
Like, even though they're not my kids,
Mhm.
but I still feel like, I try to tell my girls, you should do this because I didn't, or because I did.
Yeah.
So that's been nice to be able to offer that to them as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's nice to have that, and then Russ and I have um, our alone time at night. We watch a movie, watch a series together, whatever. Now we're planning trips. We just planned our 3rd trip for this year.
Nice.
Well, it's actually May of next year, but in May of this year, or June of this year, we're going to Niagara Falls.
Nice.
In September, neither.
Mhm.
September, we're going to Key West.
Oh, beautiful.
And then the following May, we're going on an Alaskan cruise. So that's what you have to look forward to, FYI, for your second chapter.
Yes.
I'm so thankful to my husband. Like, we fought about money a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to spend it and he wanted to save it.
Yes.
So usually in a marriage, there's one and the other.
Yeah.
So
No.
that's
Yeah.
us.
That's ours as well.
Yeah.
What we had.
Yep.
We were, for most of our lives, we were a paycheck to paycheck kind of family. We put a lot of money into. If you're not done motocross, it's expensive.
I was like, your son's motocross is expensive.
It's expensive. Yeah. I would not change it for a minute.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. There wouldn't be any money in the world I would change doing it. Because like the family time that we had, and the memories that we had is amazing. But it's a lot of money. We look back at it and look at his trophies around in our barn, and we're like, why are we in this 3-bedroom, 1-bath house?
Oh, that's why.
That is why. That is why. And yes, I sell real estate, but I'm not moving. I'm staying where I'm at. We're house
Mhm.
is paid off. I'm done.
Yep.
I don't want to do it anymore. Like I said, we're in that second chapter and we don't have any kids. Oh, I say we don't have any kids at home. So we are truly not empty nesters yet. I feel like it's knocking on the door. My daughter
Mhm.
will be graduating this year from college, and her and her boyfriend have been together for, oh gosh, 5 years now, I think, 5 or 6 years. Um, sorry, Shelb. But they've been together a long time, and they're in a very committed relationship, and they're actually looking at houses as we speak. So that's fun. So I know that's knocking on the door. My son, he's 26, married, been married for a couple of years, and he lives in Grand Blanc Township, and we do see each other. I don't. I want to say I don't want to sound like we don't see each other enough, but they're busy with their life. They work full time.
Mhm.
They have long drives to work. They're busy trying to get their house together. They want to move again. So they have busy lives. So I would say we see them every couple of weeks. They're good about calling. They do call and check with us, but um, it's not as, it's not every day.
Yeah.
So my daughter, she spends most of her evenings, I would say, she works a lot. So she works as a preschool teacher. So when she's not working, she's spending her time with her boyfriend. So most of our evenings, I would say, are me and him by ourselves, empty
Mhm.
nesting.
Yeah.
So
Basically an empty nester because it's not like you don't have to make sure you're home when she gets home from school, or you don't have to make dinner for her or make sure she has it. So you're
yes,
basically in that empty nest life, and she comes and goes as she wants. So
yeah.
it's yeah.
So it's a little bit. I will be honest, and I love you, Shelby. It's one of those things where it's a gray area because I still
Mhm.
make free meals because I don't know, is she coming home?
I
We're gonna
get
eat,
that.
and I don't know if she's gonna spend the night at home tonight
Yeah,
or if she's
yeah.
going to spend the night at her boyfriend's house or in. Okay, this is where I said I'd be truthful. It makes things, we might be sitting down for a movie, but then she comes home and we're like,
Mhm.
oh,
Yes.
hey, how you doing? You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
So it's like one of those things like we're not truly empty nesters yet.
right.
But I,
It's not like Robbie can walk around in his underwear yet.
not yet.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no, no, no.
Right.
Or me. That's a whole nother topic. That's hard. That's hard and hustle after dark,
Yes,
or
yes.
hustle and hard after dark
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, but yeah, no, it's not true empty nesters. But and I'll say so in that respect, um, that actually puts a little tension on us as well
Mhm.
because it's hard to plan date nights or anything like that because we don't really know what the comings and goings of our household might be, that
Right,
kind of thing.
right.
So it's a step, it's a learning step. We're
Mhm.
we're 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 close, but we're not there. And I learned with my son that a very 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 valuable lesson. My son moved out. Um, he how do I say this? I love you, Tyler. But he's gonna know this. It was at my lowest of lows because it was that first tearing apart of who am I, what am I,
Mhm.
who am I going to be without my son. And every mom and dad sees their kids take those first steps, and they're worried if they're prepared enough. And
Yeah.
I was very worried that he wasn't prepared enough, and I wanted him to make good choices. So I still wanted to hold on to him, and I probably did things messy, and we bumped heads quite hard. Me and Tyler actually, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. It hurt him. It hurt me. So it was a struggle. I took it as my baby boy's leaving. He's not prepared. But then there was also a little bit of, well, he's not fully gone at the time. I will be honest. Me and my husband, we would get a little pissed because they'd be going and doing their own life, but yet our garage was still full of all of their stuff. And we're like,
Mhm.
okay, you don't live here. And I would hold that against them. I
Yeah.
would. But I was doing everything I could possibly at the time for him just not to leave yet. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready even. And, and I thought, they'll never come back to me. And in that process, he was trying to come into his own as an adult as
Mhm.
well. And he was married and now he was a husband. And so he was trying to fit those roles as well and be the adult. And so, yeah, there was a lot of butting of heads. I think we both learned, and looking back on it now, and we can reflect on it, that we both didn't handle the situation well. I did not. It was not one of my finer moments. It was not some of his finer moments, but it was. I always tell him it was a good learning lesson because I know how to handle this so much better now
Mhm.
when my daughter actually moves out. It is my husband always says to me, "You're gonna flip out again," or he worries because I did flip out when Tyler left. You're gonna flip out when Shelby leaves, aren't you? You're gonna, you're gonna miss her, and yes, I'm gonna miss her, but I
Sure.
understand it now. I know that relationship, and I'm better prepared for it. So I will do things better the second
Yeah.
time.
Plus, you're in a different mental
I
state
I am
now
I am
than you were then.
I
Then
am.
was your that was your terrible time.
That
You
was
know that
I was at my
your
lowest of
headspace
lows.
wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it was post COVID. And it was COVID was horrible in the health industry. If you
Yeah.
were in healthcare, it just we didn't get that time off. Me and my
Mhm.
husband both worked full time UPS and healthcare. We didn't get time off, and it was just every day was daunting,
Yeah.
wearing a mask and seeing devastation and
The
then
death
hearing
and
all
the
about
just yeah.
it. And every move you made, there was 20 steps to do something. You know what I mean? You were washing, you were cleaning, everything was just crazy. So,
So you're coming off of that,
yes.
and now your son is leaving you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's and you're trying to find out who am I now in this season of my life, and yeah, that's it's
It
no
was
wonder.
literally right after he had gotten married. It was the happiest of happies.
Sure.
It was stressful. I've learned as well as that too. When my daughter's ready to get married, I'm a perfectionist and I took everything. I needed everything to be me. I'll take care of this. I'll take care of that. I'll take care of this. Nope, nope, nope. We're going to have somebody else take care of that this
Yeah.
time because I'm not going to stress myself out about it this time. But yeah, all it was the highest of highs. They got married, everything was wonderful, and then but wait, now he's gone. You know what I mean? Now he's
Mhm.
gone, and him and his wife, Taylor, who I adore, love her to pieces. She's part of our family, and I don't even remember that at times without her. Really,
Yeah.
I honestly struggle. They're very close with my daughter as well, so it was like the three little musketeers. So even then,
Mhm.
even though they had left and gotten married, Shelby was old enough to drive. She was taken off, and they were living, they were living like an hour away, 45 minutes away. And so then she took off too with them all the time. So really, it was just like night and day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, now I have no kids. What am I going to do? So yeah, lowest of lows, huge transformation. My parents had moved to Florida. I didn't have them. So yeah, it was just like, what am I going to do?
It seems like it was like everything happened all at
Oh,
once.
from August till
Yeah.
the end of September, it just everything kind of snowballed. And it was September's when I did the horrible, and but I it changed me forever.
Yeah.
That whole episode of my life, and I will say it changed me for the better. It wasn't something to talk about my attempt. It wasn't something I planned. It was a spur of the moment whim. I wanted the heartbreak and the me and my son had just kind of argued, and I wanted the heartbreak to go away. I just wanted to stop. I wanted my head to stop hurting, my heart to stop hurting, thoughts in my brain to stop. And that's not a good mix when you're sitting there at the counter and there's a bottle of Xanax and a bottle of whiskey, and you just take them both, and they did. It just wasn't a good mix.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I did that. And when I woke up and found out I was going to be headed to the hospital, I had to reflect and spend some time. And no, I disappointed a lot of people, but um, I also needed to take care of myself because this was not. It was not a proud moment. It wasn't going to help anybody, and I needed to figure out how to change all of that. So
You didn't want that life or that particular incident. You didn't want that to be your life
I didn't want that to define me. No.
again
Mm-mm.
and
Yeah,
again and
exactly.
again and
Yes.
again. Because
Yes.
if you wouldn't have reflected, and if you wouldn't have looked back and thought, you know what, I'm worth something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worth something to myself, and I'm worth something to the people in my family and the people who love me. So
Yes.
I think that's great that you took that time to say, I'm not going to live that way.
Yes.
You know.
No, it was an important I feel like all of these are important steps in your life, There's no mistakes. Bad things, good things happen, and they're learning lessons. And so I took that and I learned from it, and that's the best I can do about it.
Yep.
And now I advocate for people. I try to explain to them, how important it is to, if you find yourself, you need to get that help. You need to talk through it. You need to own it, and don't, sugarcoat it and put a band-aid on it. You need to work through it because that band-aid will rip off one of these days and all hell will break loose.
Yep.
And that's what happened. So, but, hey, we are now much happier. I'm much, you know, fuller person. Fuller. Well, I'm,
Aren't we all?
aren't we all?
Again, that happens in second chapter of your life.
That's part of the second chapter too. It's so glorious, girls. Can't wait, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, I think, my son and me at that time, I think we learned a lesson and it made us closer. It really did. And he helps me now. Sometimes, I will. My daughter's, she's 20, she's going to be 21, and I still forget sometimes, that she's growing and she's, spreading her wings and she's gonna fly and she's gonna do all these things, and I try to prevent it. But he's a reminder of me of why I got to just let it go, let her make her mistakes, and then learn from them and be there to not fix, but support when the mistakes happen, because they're gonna happen, because that's how we learn, is through mistakes.
I would say I will fully admit I am terrible at support. I still want to parent.
Yes.
My 33-year-old, my 29-year-old, and my 21-year-old, I still try to, not try, it just kind of happens. I don't want to be that way. I guess I don't know how to just be supportive. I like to be in control of things, and I think that's been hard for me in the second part of my life, where they don't need a parent anymore. I've already parented them. I did my job.
Right.
And I know that up here.
Right.
But it's hard to just be now the support person.
Right.
And watch them make their mistakes and watch them whatever. But I guess I still want to prevent it. But we can't.
That's our mom instinct, right?
But I don't know how. I'll be honest, I don't know how to just not.
I think people are lying if they say if they have multiple children, that they're not closer, or they have a different relationship.
Oh,
not closer.
100%.
I'm not closer with either one of my children, but I definitely have a different relationship. It's very open and honest that my son is more like me, and my daughter is more like my husband, and they have a closeness, and me and my son have a closeness. My son was always, he came to me with everything. I mean, I probably knew more about him, I would say, than my husband did when they were growing up. Both my kids, I think they bring, the ailments and all those kinds of things, or the heartaches and all that. They bring it to usually the mom. That's that's one of our roles as well, counselor as well. But I feel like me and my son had a closeness, and that was hard, because, like I said, I lost my mom and dad had moved to Florida, and I was very close with my mom and dad. And so I don't have any brothers or sisters. And then, I didn't really have anybody. And that was something I had to learn as well. And it was a mistake I made as a parent. I was close with my son. He was in his 20s, and I could go to him and talk to him about things, and then he would come to me and talk about things. And probably I needed to keep that relationship a little bit,
more parental than friends.
Yeah, exactly. So I have learned that as well, that they don't need all my garbage. You know what I mean? They're going through their own garbage,
right?
But it's hard.
It is hard, especially if that's all you had.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. And like I said, we lost all of the, our friends. There wasn't really, I didn't have this secret sister that I was going to go tell everybody, tell my darn secrets. And my husband, he's good at listening, but maybe this is just my relationship. They don't want to hear all your garbage all the time. You know what I mean? It's not like a sisterhood where you can, or a bestie, or one of those things where you can just blah.
And I think it's a man thing too. I think maybe all men are like that.
He does good, but not that good.
As far as kids go, I do think, and I only had girls, so I didn't have that boy-mom relationship, which is a thing. I think each child has their own personality, their own way of things, their own temperament, their own whatever, and that's why sometimes someone on the outside may say, oh, you like that one better, or whatever. No, I think it's just different for each, and you draw on their strengths.
Yes.
And that's what that closeness is.
Right.
Whatever that strength is, maybe that's your strength.
It is. Yeah. No,
So,
that's how it was
yeah,
for us.
yeah.
Definitely.
So that's
So
probably, a good explanation of that,
yeah,
I
it's
would
not so
say.
much a closer relationship because I am close. I am just as close with my daughter in
Yeah.
a different way.
Sure. Hmm.
And but it is very true that they both you can have the same DNA,
Yep.
but they can be complete opposites. And my kids are complete
Hmm.
opposites. Well, how one handles one thing and how another one handles
Right.
the same situation is completely
Yep.
different, and that's what makes them unique.
Yep.
Um, but you learn how to approach this child, and you learn how to approach this
Hmm.
child. And I think how I approached my son, it just came more naturally because that's how people approach me. We were similar,
Yeah.
so um,
I think we found that too, like even in discipline.
mm-hmm,
When we disciplined the girls over the
mm-hmm.
years, it was different.
Yeah,
Like, not that, well, the older girls will say Megan got away with everything, and I will say yes, she probably did because she was the baby. But I would say discipline works for each child differently. The way
right.
you discipline. So that goes along with their personalities and their temperament and
Yes.
just how they all grew up in the same house, same parents. It's just weird
Yep.
how that happens.
My daughter would take things more personally, and
Hmm.
you didn't really even have to. She's the kind of daughter when she was growing up, you just gave a look and she would be like,
Yep.
"Oh my goodness, I
Sounds
did
like Maddie.
wrong." And she would self-discipline
Yes.
herself worse
Yep.
than you could discipline her. You know what I mean?
Definitely
Um,
Madison. My
yeah,
Maddie was the
she
same way.
you just had to her itty bitties could, break at any minute.
Hmm.
So you had to be careful that you didn't want her to think, it was the end of the world, but
Right.
she's going to take it as
Yeah.
it's the end of the world
Right.
that she disappointed you. And you're not just it's not so much that you're disappointed, it's just you wanted different choices. So,
Sure. Well, you could be disappointed in the behavior,
yeah. Yeah.
not them as a person. So I think you
Exactly.
have to have that distinction. But
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, Maddie was the same way. Chelsea, on the other hand, we could have a whole wrestling match with that girl. She didn't. Yeah, it took a lot to get that one.
Yeah. So I will say Shelby was more stubborn than Tyler. Shelby, oh my gosh, that girl. uh, me and my husband still to this day say that yeah we probably butt heads more because I see her stubbornness
Yeah.
in her. But she was the we tried to teach her how to ride a bike because we grew up son doing motocross, right? I mean, daughter's gonna ride a bike, daughter's gonna ride a bike, daughter's
Yeah.
gonna ride a bike. She was like 4, 3, 4, and I know that's young, but we were Tyler rode his bike when he was two,
Hmm.
3 years old, so we kept trying to teach her. And she, one day, I remember we were doing the whole you stand at this end of the driveway, I'll stand at this end, me and my husband, and I'd give her the little shove, and she'd put the brakes on, and the
Oh.
bike would fall over. And I mean, we did it 50 times, and I'm like, Shelby, all you gotta do is go forward. I'm not doing it today. I'm not doing it today. I'm gonna do it when I'm 5. And I'm like, stubborn little thing I've ever seen in my life. And I still remember this day. She turned 5 years old, and sure as heck, she went out in that driveway on her birthday. Went out to the driveway, got her bike, and rode around in circles. Almost hit our truck one time. We have it on video, and she just took off on her bike. Just no big deal.
Like
Like
she knew what she
she
was
knew what she
doing
was
all
doing.
this
She
time.
just it was going to
Yep.
be on her time.
Well.
Her time. So
Yep.
that's Shelby. She does it on her time, and I don't fight it anymore.
Yeah.
She does her own thing, and yeah, that's the difference in the children.
Yep.
That's for sure. So. So talked a little bit about our kids. We talked a lot about, our husbands. So now, like this next chapter part, as far as your career, and friends, do you have a lot of friends?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm a pretty outgoing person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say that, but inside I'm dying inside.
Right.
But I have a lot of friends that I've had for a long time, which is nice
Okay.
to be able to have those that I can just go to and you know pray with and just whatever.
Right.
So this has been a challenge for me getting into this industry so late in life because I'm meeting new people that are becoming friends.
Right.
And you're included in that
Right.
because I didn't know you
Thank.
before.
Right. You. Yep. For sure.
And, being the old ladies of our office, a couple of the old
Seasoned.
ladies,
Seasoned.
sorry,
Yes.
the
Yes.
seasoned ladies. So that's been a challenge for me because just meeting new people, letting them in,
Mm-hmm.
letting them into my world, and
Right.
then me going into their world. So especially if we're coming from different backgrounds and different ways of life, that's been a challenge.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it actually. I love meeting people. I love networking. I love it. But it has been a challenge. I will say that.
Yeah. Now, does Russ have a lot of friends?
No,
Does he
he's a
go in?
loner.
He's a loner.
He's a
Okay.
loner, and which I hate. I'm always like, oh, we should call this couple and let's go for dinner. He's like, let's just me and you go. I'm like, I see you all the time.
Right.
Like, which I love. I'm not saying that, but he's just, some people love a lot of people.
Hmm.
Plus, he works with all women
Ah,
and he thinks we're all catty.
we are.
I know we are. But
That's a whole nother
yeah, it's a whole nother podcast.
podcast.
Obviously men and women are different. So
Hmm.
the way we handle things as women are different than men, just kind of brush things off and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, he's got a couple people, but he just, it's not as important to him
Right.
to have that circle of people.
Right.
He's got his family, he's fine.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so that's hard for us, for him and I.
That's a struggle for us too, as
Yes,
well. Honestly. So.
because I want to go do stuff and I
Hmm.
want to like, oh, let's go play cards with, Brett and Jenny or whatever. And he's like, okay. Well, also the problem is he works weekends. He works
Ah.
every weekend is his
Hmm.
schedule. So everybody else has the weekends off.
Right.
So that's always been a struggle, our whole marriage also, because he's pretty much worked that most of the
That's been his
girls.
schedule or his shift.
Yes, as
Okay.
a nurse. I mean,
Hmm. Yep.
but it worked out a lot of times because we would go do things during the week with the kids.
Hmm.
There'd be no lines at the movies. There'd be
Right.
no, so that was nice to be able to, we'd have family day or family night on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So when everybody else is going on a Saturday or Sunday.
Hmm.
So that's been nice. But so for friends on a personal, just on my own,
Hmm.
that's just been um, just different and
Right.
a challenge, I guess. But yeah, it's been nice. I love meeting new people.
Yes. Okay.
I love people in
I would
general.
say mine is pretty similar as far as that. I do enjoy meeting new people. Um, I have found though that it's kind of a struggle as far as is trying to like locally.
Hmm.
I would say I live in Holly. Everybody knows my story. I live in Holly. I've always lived in Holly. And the people that I am friends with, I'm 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 friends, but we're not hanging out or
Yeah,
anything like that.
yeah.
Because they stayed friends, whereas our story was we went and did our own thing, and then we met different people, and now we've come back. So they've all stayed kind of close and friends, small town kind of thing. So that's been a struggle to try to fit what back into those
Yeah.
groups and hang back out because they've formed these relationships. They've gone on vacations together and all that. We didn't do that. It's been 30 years or 25
And
years
theirs
since
has been this steady thing for
yes.
this whole time. Yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
that's been a struggle, I will say, is getting, but have, through this industry and honestly through the community, different avenues now that I work with, I have met a lot of new friends. So that's been nice. My struggle is 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 letting people in. And
Hmm.
that's a whole nother thing. But I tend to try to just keep them, everyone is almost in like an acquaintance spot. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
I'm working on that. I'm working about that's a trust issue, but
Sure.
it's hard to let people in and know that they're gonna have all the right intentions, those
Right.
kinds of things. So
Mine's the complete opposite. I am like, I'm going to tell you my deepest, darkest secret. Oh, I know I just met you 20 minutes ago, but I'm totally going to tell you everything. Like,
I'm getting there.
I,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
that's me. I'm kind of like, I want to bring them in right now, and now we're going to be best friends. We're going to be, so yeah, but it's just who I've always been, I
Right.
guess,
That's good though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sometimes.
especially in this industry, that's good that
It
you can
is.
be as personable as you can.
Yeah.
Now, Robbie, my husband, is the same kind of thing. He's an introvert. He has friends, and I tell him this all the time. But he is not the kind of guy that's just going to go hang out with the dudes. That's just not
Right.
his
Yeah.
thing. He'll go and hang out with a few of his friends, or here and there they'll go do things. Mostly work on cars.
Hmm.
He's been at his job for 30 years, and I don't know anybody at his work. Like literally, I think
Really?
I've met maybe two or three people,
Yeah.
maybe four. Um, but he kind of just keeps that's work, and he just when
Right.
he's done, that's
He's
shut
done.
off.
Yeah.
That he's gone. That's it. He's got a few close friends that he has at work, but
Yeah.
you know, somebody's worked there for 30 years, you'd think that, he's just hanging out with all these different
Right.
people, and he doesn't.
Well,
But
he's
that's his personality. He's
same with
more of an
Russ, yeah.
introvert kind of person. He's more of um, a close knit, not a
Mhm.
big group kind of thing. He has learned, and that was something that we did discuss during like therapy and stuff like that. Is that my needs and wants are? I love a crowd. I love people. I
Mhm.
love big. Let's go hang out with as many people as possible, that kind of thing. And that was not his thing. So he's had to come to the dark side
Yep. Yep.
and learn to like people and hang out with people.
Maybe Russ and Robbie should get together and hang
Right.
out. Then
Definitely.
they would just be sitting doing nothing, like because they're both introverts.
They
Now what do we talk about?
they talked a little bit at the awards
They
ceremony.
did. Yeah.
That was good timing or a good place setting for them to
Yes.
sit together like that. But yeah, so that's been the next struggle, is trying to find friend groups. And
Mhm.
so I'm branching out into different groups. Like I went this weekend. There was a whole coffee and connection thing in Holly that I went and met up with some girls, just complete strangers. We just decided, it was like speed dating to make a friend
To
kind
make
of thing.
friends.
Yeah, so yeah, we sat there and just had conversations with each other real quick and tried to see, if we had any kind of connection to be friends, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, and trying to be more involved. I'm always involved in downtown and in the community stuff, but also trying to be in some new things so that I can get new friends. You know what I mean? And find my way and find my spot in the community, or with some relationships, friendships, I should say. So that's been an interesting.
Are you on the Let's Be Friends Facebook page?
I am. I
Okay,
am.
that's a fun one. I've went to quite a few of their events, or coffees or
Right.
lunches or what. It's been. I've enjoyed it. I went to game night one night and met some women, and that was. You should try to come to something if
Yeah.
you're.
I actually just looked on it a couple of days ago, not a week ago, but to see if there was anything
Uh huh.
coming up. But yeah, no, that's some of the things I'm been trying to see, is different groups, different
Mhm.
areas.
Another realtor has started that one,
Yeah,
Marlene. Yeah.
Marla.
Yep.
Yep, yep, yep. I seen that. Yep. She was like that. The Women's Council of Realtors yesterday. So, but yeah, no, trying to form new relationships and things like that has been eye opening,
Mhm.
and interesting. But yeah,
I would say too, we're already set in our ways.
yeah,
We already know what we like. We already know what we want. We know what we don't want.
right,
So you got to find people that want and don't want those same things.
right,
Like
right.
I just feel like I don't want to change. I don't want to
Yes.
change who I am or what I like. Or I mean, I'm willing to try new things, I guess,
Mhm.
but for the most part, we're already set in
Right.
our ways, and
Mhm.
just we've been like this for 50 something years. So
Yeah.
that's that's probably the hardest part.
I think that is,
Yeah,
honestly, because yeah, you're trying to find people that are kind of set in their ways and they go along with
with your
your ways.
ways. Right, right. Yep.
So yeah, it's not like old time on the playground where you just go up to somebody, you want to be my friend, that kind
Right.
of thing, and you're besties for life. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That kind of
Well,
thing.
let's try that. Maybe we could do that. Like next time we're at a function. So if I'm at a function, I want somebody to call me out on it. You just go up to someone and say, "You want to be my friend? Let's
Right.
try it and
It's
see
just
if it
that easy.
works."
We hand out friendship
Yes.
bracelets and say,
See if
okay,
it
we're
works.
besties. Besties now. It's just not that easy anymore when you're in your 50s.
Yep.
So in bringing it back to real estate a little bit, because obviously we want to come back to our business side of things. I feel like the second chapter, we keep referring to it, is also as an agent in dealing with clients. I feel like is a whole different chapter as well too, as far as how
Hmm.
we handle things, how we approach things, as opposed to maybe somebody who's um, less seasoned. Would you say?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think for me, um, I really like first home buyers. I like working with.
Mm-hmm.
So those are typically younger
Right.
um, clients, like my kids' ages. I say
Right.
younger, like
Right.
20s to 30s.
Right.
Um, I do tend to, when I'm working with them, I tend to treat them as if I were working with my own children,
Right.
because I'll look at a house and I'll be like, wouldn't want my kid to live here.
Right.
I mean, unless the client wants a big rehab job or whatever, then fine. But typically they're not.
Right.
They'll be like, okay, we could pull up carpet, we could do this kind of stuff. But I look at a house and I'll be like, I wouldn't want my daughter to buy this house. Like, I'm very honest with them, and I'm careful. I'm not um, violating any ethics or anything like
Right.
that. But I want what's best for my clients, and I see somebody who's 25 years old. I don't want them to get a money pit.
Right.
I want them to have a good first home buying experience. I want them to, because it's their first home, it might be their forever home, but it's probably not going to be their forever home. That
Right.
doesn't happen as much now as it did our parents' generation.
No. Mm, no. Yeah.
So I don't know for the reason for that. I don't know if it's the prices. I mean, I don't really know if it's what the reason is, the market, because your $200,000 house isn't something you can grow into anymore or what. But so I try to relate to the younger generation as a mother.
Right.
I want to look out for their best interests, and just like I would for my own children.
Right.
So
I would say it's kind of a split for me as far as where my buyers tend to be from. I have worked with a lot of first-time home buyers, including my son, and I learned a lot through that
mhm.
lesson. When I took him and his wife to start looking at houses, I just assumed they knew a lot of things
Yep.
that they did not know. So it was very eye-opening as far as how much I really need to share with my first time home
Mhm.
buyer. And I want them to be a part of the process. I really want them to understand. I don't want them just to feel like I showed them stuff and steered them a certain way or something like that. I
Yeah.
want them to make this is your decision.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You have to live here, not me. And I also I have a tendency, I would say, to try to look at things as far as what is your actual goal with this? Do you find yourself as probably staying in here, 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10? Obviously, we all make the, ask those questions. What kind of support system do they have? Because that's important. If we're going into a home and I see it needs a lot of work,
Mhm.
if if for the most part, usually mom and dads are usually showing up and kind of inspecting it as
The
well with
dads
me.
for
Yeah,
sure.
dads for sure. Dad inspections are real. Those are
Yes.
real.
They're not getting paid.
I love it though because I'm like, go ahead. I have this one buyer, and her dad would always come, and Harold would go off and take off on a tangent in the top end, and I'd get the bottom end, and between the two of us, we would, kind of look into this place. And I'm the kind of real estate agent who's bringing my ladder, and I'm checking that house out.
Mhm.
So, and I'm trying to show them and also teach them, this is some things I would look for. This
Yeah.
would be some things I would, if you were my child, I would show you this, that kind of thing. And I do the whole, would I let my daughter live here? Would I let my son live here? Ethically, we can't say, I wouldn't live here. I wouldn't buy this house,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Right.
But I also want them to know how serious I am about how much work this is going to be in
Yes.
their situation. Because some of them are doe-eyed and they just think, I'm going to get the keys and it's all going to work out. Um,
Well, and they're
it,
excited. They're
exactly
like, now they're a grown up,
right.
so to speak, because they're buying a house, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. I like to bring a little bit of my prior to real estate
Mm-hmm.
experience. All the houses I bought over the years,
Right.
like, oh my gosh, I wish somebody would have told me this
Right.
type of thing. Not that I learned it now as an agent, it's what I learned as a buyer
Right.
and as a seller before. So
Right. Yep.
that I try to think of those things
Yep. I
and
do the
how
same.
I felt looking at houses, and
Mm-hmm.
so
So for me and my husband, we didn't buy a whole lot of houses. We rented a house. We rented a few houses, and then the house that we are in now was actually our first time home buyer
oh, nice.
house.
Okay.
And we ended up having a house fire, and we had to rebuild. And so we had to go down to the studs and the whole rebuilding process. And anybody knows anything about my husband, he is he's frugal. He's very tight with that money.
Yes.
So,
Again, him and Russ should
uh,
just hang. They must have went to the same
yeah, no,
financial and romantic school.
he was not going to pay for contractors to come in there
Yes.
and do all of this work. So we literally killed ourselves basically trying to redo our home, and we did it with all, our family, friends, every weekend for 8, 9 months. We had Christmas with a plywood floor and a fake
Oh yeah.
Christmas tree that I put up and that kind of thing one year. And yeah, so I look at things, from that perspective that this wasn't going to be our first time, or this wasn't going to be our forever home. It was going to be our first time home, but it turned into our forever home because
Yeah.
then once we got it built, we realized our kids were getting older. Do we really want to start over? We have this one paid off. What do we want to do? So we are in our first time home, and it's our forever home.
Yeah.
So we don't plan on. I'm trying to convince them we want to buy a second home in Tennessee. But yeah,
I hope Robbie's watching.
Pipe dream, pipe dream.
Yeah.
So we couldn't give up our home, honestly. So
Yeah.
I just don't know how that would play out. But that being said, sometimes that plan changes. So, is this your one and done? Or is this, the stepping stone?
Right, right.
The first home buys the second one
Mm-hmm.
buys the third, and the third buys the forever,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So with my kids, with my son, I, I dual agent. I was mom and an agent in that one. So
Oh, I never thought of that. I was the dual agent as well for my kids.
I could play mom and
Yes.
put the license aside a little bit and
Yep.
say, well, we could do this. And they did find a foreclosed HUD home that needed a lot of work, but I knew they had the support system that would be able to do that.
Yeah.
My husband probably disagrees because he spent a 99-degree day up on a roof putting a whole new roof on this house
Right.
with my son and his friends, but he says he'll never do that again. But I looked at it as they could walk away with some equity,
Sure.
and that would help them get a better, footing for the second house, and they are in a good spot to do that for this one. So
yeah, that's good.
I would say the other side of the coin is that I have a lot of buyers now that are in my era, maybe the second chapter plus, and they're moving out of Holly. Maybe they're moving south. I've had quite a few buyers actually leaving Holly, but it's not because they want to leave Holly. It's more or less this has done its job for them, and they want to. They are done with Michigan more than less.
To say weather, slower pace down south or wherever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
yeah. So I just had a buyer that they just moved to Tennessee. I've had buyers that have moved to Florida.
Yeah.
They're ready to move on to that retirement phase, and that's been kind of eye-opening as well for me because that's in the, kind of the era that I'm in. So I feel like I connect with them. So, us being more seasoned agents, I feel like we definitely connect with different people, but how we approach things is differently, as opposed to maybe somebody who's a little bit younger.
Well, because we've already been where the younger ones are, and we're at where the people our age are.
Right,
so, yeah,
right.
We've already been all in between, too.
Right.
So we come with that experience and that advice, and so that's nice to.
Yeah.
So we're pretty darn good.
Yeah. No, I think yeah.
We're the whole package.
We're the full package, full circle package,
full circle package.
So, we got into a tangent the other day. Me and my husband were talking, and actually my kids and everybody. We're talking about the first time home buyer. We were just talking about this first time home buyer and the age for the first time home buyer being more in. I think they said it was 40. Some is that like the average age for the first time home buyer.
Wow.
And I kind of gave my stance on that. Everybody's going to say, well, the houses are overpriced. And obviously we work in an industry where we see it all the time. And I look at what my house went for before we bought it 10 years prior. And it was pretty much what it would sell for now. So it's coming back around. It kind of dipped and now it's coming back. So housing prices, I think, while they may be more now than they were before, I feel like our lifestyles for this younger generation got us in a pickle.
Yep.
And I say it all the time. When I was growing up and people were buying their first time home buyers, or like when we were in our 20s, we didn't have 4 cell phones in our family. We didn't have 2 cars for our families. So that's a lot of extra bills now that were at that time would have been wants. And now I feel like we've gotten ourselves into a lifestyle where those are needs.
Yeah.
Families are, their kids are into sports or all these different clubs, and so their kids need a car. When I was growing up, I had to rely on my parents to take me everywhere. Yeah.
I walked. I took the city bus. But you're right about like sports. That's another thing. Like our generation, we played for the school we went to.
Yeah.
There weren't
it wasn't
travel
this competition.
Teams and all this, which is very expensive, and we didn't have 12 streaming services that you pay for. We didn't that is a very good point.
You think about that. You have a family of 4 or 5, and every kid that's 10 years old now, or maybe even younger
Yes.
sometimes, they all have to have cell phones
Yep.
because you don't have that wall phone anymore. We paid for a wall phone; it was $30 a month, maybe $20 a month,
Maybe.
and now you have this $250 phone bill because everybody's got their
Yes.
cell phones.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, you had one car payment that was $200 a month. Well, obviously, car payments got more expensive because cars got more expensive. And now you not only just have one car, you have four cars because your two kids need to share these cars, and
Yep.
you are a dual working family. So your husband needs a car, I need a car. We're both having.
And
So
now
we
we
have
have daycare
yeah,
because both parents are working.
yes,
Like
exactly.
there's so many things that are creating this
Yes,
perfect storm.
yes. I feel like
Yeah.
the housing market, while the houses got more expensive, so did our lifestyles.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and unfortunately, we made things more convenient, but that came with a price.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, we worked ourselves out of that first time home buyer being 20 to 25 or 25 to 30. Now we're into our 40s because
Right.
yeah, they had to go through that stage where they had to pay for all those
Mm-hmm.
things. So things get put off a little bit. So I don't want to just blame that the houses are more expensive. While I will agree that yes,
They
houses are
are.
more expensive now in 2026 than they were in 2000. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, that's
Just
with
like
anything.
everything.
Yeah.
So is our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are overpriced now on our budgets of what our normal spending is. And that kind of took us out of that first time home
Right.
buyer age of being younger. So that's my soapbox on that. But yeah, we had a whole conversation about that the other day. And
Yeah, that makes total sense.
it does. I mean,
Needs versus wants.
yes,
I think that's
it is needs versus
yeah.
wants, but is it now? Now we're at this point where like, is it chip? Is it really a want when you have two people working in a family? You
Right.
have to have two cars, so that's
Right.
not really a want anymore.
That's a need.
It's a need.
Cell phones, that's a need. You
Yeah.
can't really do. I mean, if my phone broke,
I die.
I mean, I think of like, well, it's because it's our business too, but
oh yeah,
I'd have to go right to the phone store.
yeah.
Like I wouldn't even know what to do.
Do not pass go. Go right to the
Yes.
store, and I need
Like-
a new phone, and I need everything that was in that one back on this
Back
one.
on this one.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean, I hate to say that. That's
No,
horrible,
but that's just the world we live in. But so you would have to differentiate the not want and the need.
yeah.
For sure. You know.
Do we go back to wall phones to make things more?
I'd be fine with a landline. I wouldn't be able to leave my house, but I would.
Yeah. I mean, because you think about it, I like my daughter texts me. She's still at home, but even when she's not, I don't know if she'll stop this because whatever. She texts me when she leaves. If she's at her boyfriend's, she texts me that she's on her way to work. She leaves at 6:30 in the morning. 5:30, 6:30, somewhere in that range. So she'll text me on my way to work, and I'll still be sleeping. I'll look at it, and then when she gets to work, she texts me here so that I know she got there safely. So she couldn't do that,
Nope.
and there would be no way of that happening. So I know when we were younger, we just let our kids go, or we were out, not our kids, but I mean, we were out running the roads, and mom and dad just said, be home when the street lights come
Right.
on. You know what I
I'm
mean? Or
sure-
when dinner is 6 o'clock, and I remember skating around that road,
Same.
looking at that street light,
Yep.
going, don't do it. Damn it, you
Yes.
turned on, I'm in trouble.
I'm sure my mom sat around a lot and was like, I wonder if she's alive right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder about that, because
I was out doing stuff I should not have been doing, number one, and they didn't have no way to know if we were. I guess they maybe just trusted that they gave us good sense,
yeah,
but they didn't.
they didn't. We were
No.
making bad choices.
Bad choices.
We were making bad choices.
And there's no evidence of it.
That's right, girlfriend. No,
just
videos.
the memories.
Just the memories.
Yes. Yep.
So just want to say thank you to everyone for watching our podcast today. And, if I hope some of this info was helpful to you. If you guys, anybody ever wants to grab a coffee and discuss it more, you know how to get a hold of us. And, we're here to help more than just real estate. We're real women living real lives, doing real things, and also doing real estate. So, Leslie Jorgensen and Dana Robinson.
Thank you for watching our Hustle and Heart podcast.